Tonight on the Rebound Colorado, we mark 1 year since the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic. The day many businesses were forced to adapt to survive.
We were not up to speed yet on our e-commerce, and we were facing a time where we very much needed to be.
The day many workers had to start thinking about a new future.
It's not going to be what it was in the past. We have got to recreate our own future. We might as well be in control of that.
And the day the sports world changed forever.
The game tonight has been postponed. You are all safe.
But we begin tonight with breaking news. Just within the last hour, President Biden has announced plans to instruct states to make every American eligible for the vaccine by May 1st. The White House believes the vaccination process has sped up enough to end prioritization vaccines for vulnerable Americans by the end of next month. So the goal now, get the country closer to normal by the 4th of July holiday. Thank you for joining us for the Rebound Colorado. I'm Shannon Ogden. Now, earlier today, our Jason Grenauer sat down with Denver 7 sports reporter Troy Renck to talk about a year in sports unlike any other, both from a professional and a family perspective.
Denver 7's Troy Renck joins me now. And Troy, 1 year ago today was really that moment when the world of sports stood still. We started seeing games canceled and then seasons canceled. Take me back to that day and really what that was like.
Yeah, I remember sitting on the couch. My wife, I were watching the Nuggets-Mavs game. Then it came across the screen that Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz had tested positive for COVID-19. And my reaction was, uh-oh, like now it's going to get real, because before it felt like it was controllable and maybe it was going to happen in one region or another. But once an NBA player tested positive, how are they going to continue to play? And you saw the ramifications. Eventually, the Nuggets finished their game that night, but it became very clear within a couple of hours that sports were going to change dramatically. And then the watershed moment for me, Jason, was not long after that when the NCAA tournament was canceled. I mean, that is the biggest sporting event in America outside of the Super Bowl. So if you didn't understand the gravity of it, you did then. I never thought I'd see anything like it in my lifetime, where sports was canceled for, more than a week. I covered 9/11 when I was in baseball. That was a week. To see it basically go on for a calendar year, it has been just startling. And thankfully, it looks like we're coming out the other side.
Well, you and the rest of our Denver 7 sports department and sports reporters and anchors all around the world all of a sudden didn't have anything to cover for an extended period of time. And then coming back into it, it was so totally different. Can you just kind of walk me through what that was like?
Yeah, covering sports without sports is not ideal. We don't have a UFC, Russian ping pong, and a horse racing beat. Those are pretty much the only events that were going on starting about May. And a lot of the coverage initially was talking to athletes who had their seasons canceled or interrupted, a lot of seniors, high school seniors, college seniors. And so while there was a huge downside to it, the positive side was learning about Zoom and being able to do remote interviews with college gymnasts, high school athletes, a former Rockies pitcher who became a firefighter. I interviewed high school kids who played in college, my own sons in college baseball. And so there was an upside to being able to do more stories and do stories creatively that we weren't able to do typically. But it's hard to explain what it's like to miss a Sunday Broncos, the walking into the parking lot with a full Broncos country, full throat in the stands. It's just sports are made for that. I have that longing for the feeling and the energy that sports brings.
Well, at least we did have one of those early Broncos Zoom interviews where the camera or the laptop fell right away. And we all learned that, those athletes, those coaches, they're people too, trying to figure out this whole Zoom thing. So, okay, the pandemic and sports specifically, it's impacted a lot of us. A lot of our favorite team seasons got canceled, delayed, changed. From a personal aspect, you talked about covering sports, but personally for you, you're a sports dad too. This hit you in multiple ways.
Yeah, so we live sports. We're a sports family. My oldest son was a junior at UCCS as a pitcher in the RMAC for University of Colorado Springs. His season got shut down. And at the time, we thought he might pitch a fourth year. He could have pitched 2 more years, but going to grad school for him didn't make sense. So he graduated in 3 years. And I understood that decision, but we missed that moment. Like a lot of families I know to some people, they kind of roll their eyes at it, but when you've competed since you were 5, until you're 23, 24 years old, those moments do matter. They provide closure. And so we missed that with my oldest son, and my youngest son he was a freshman at Westmont College in Santa Barbara. They had a team that was going to probably win their conference. But selfishly, when people ask me what team do I root for the team my sons are on. And my oldest son ended without the closure. We didn't get to see him pitch at home his final season. And my youngest son, they get deprived of an opportunity to do something special in the postseason. But listen, people had it way worse. These are first world problems. But sports bind us in ways, they have relationships that connect us in ways that I've never found in any business.
Hopefully, the only direction right now is back up and back to that new normal. Denver 7's Troy Renck, thanks so much for the time today.
Thank you, Jason.
Still ahead on the Rebound Colorado, we highlight the innovations businesses have made to stay open through the pandemic. Colorado businesses have had to deal with shutdowns and virus restrictions for nearly a year now, and sadly, many small businesses were not able to survive. Others did so by adapting to the times and reshaping the meaning of their success. Denver 7's Brian Sanders brings us some of the stories from the past year.
Some of our favorite restaurants and shops will not make it out of the pandemic. Punch Bowl Social is one that folded and filed for bankruptcy amid the hardships. Lakewood's Caboose, which used to be the largest model train store in the world, closed too because it couldn't shift to online sales fast enough.
The challenges were very real because we were not up to speed yet on our e-commerce, and we were facing a time where we very much needed to be.
But the business framework as a whole evolved. And we saw so many stories of inspiration and innovation. Lafayette-based Fusion Specialties, one of the largest makers of mannequins, started making personal protective equipment. And Denver-based Brothers Barbecue gave back, delivering meals to hospitals and schools.
We got the word out, and we gave back every day a donated lunch to people in need. Obviously hospitals, but maintenance, truck drivers, delivery drivers, FedEx, U.S. Postal.
Some look to the future, like Littleton's Mojo Desk, with a dome for safety when you return to the office. Others took on technology, like Xer Studio, which uses artificial intelligence to help you with at-home workouts.
After about a month or so, like end of April, all of the coaches, trainers, gym studios were coming to us and saying, hey, we got Zoom fatigue. Like, it's so hard seeing 20, 30, 40 people on a Zoom.
Kula Sports Performance in Centennial was there to support student athletes when there was no sports season. And Bigsby's Folly greeted people in costume for their pickup foods and wines to give customers a much-needed smile.
People started showing up just to pick up their food and their wine in costumes too. So, when they were telling us it was like the highlight of their day, they were going out and they were going to do something fun, and now they're making us smile.
It was a year when business became about much more than the bottom line. Profits replaced by the riches of community, and Colorado showed its true colors.
We've got a common purpose here now. We've got common goals that we're all working together. So I'd love to see that in the rest of the country as well.
It's been a year of change for so many of us, and not always by choice. Up next, how some are creating new opportunities from tough breaks. But first, Denver 7 meteorologist Stacey Donaldson has a look at your 7-day forecast.
To round out our week, our temperatures will still be in the 40s with some rain and snow showers for the day. Then the really cold air sets in, and our snow is going to arrive with that big low pressure area coming in from the west, and we will have heavy amounts of snow expected Saturday and Sunday. There is now a winter storm warning in effect for the entire metro area. So that means low visibility, heavy snow, gusty winds, and treacherous driving conditions. Into the beginning of next week, will still remain cold on Monday, flurries and cold air on the way, and some snow showers possible on Tuesday with highs near 40 degrees. We will be back into the upper 40s by the time we get to Thursday with partly cloudy skies. But in the meantime, all eyes are on this storm coming our way. As for skiing or boarding, you might want to head out much earlier than you normally would if you want to stay the weekend. Otherwise, I would not travel into Saturday and Sunday in the high country because you may get stuck on the roads with all of the snow that will be occurring. Temperatures in the 30s for the mountains for your ski forecast. And then that heavy snow really starts to clear out Sunday, and we'll be left with a few flurries into Monday.
Today on the Denver 7 Facebook page, we ask if you thought about changing careers because of the pandemic. JD says he hasn't because his job can be done remotely and he's more productive, he says, at home. April works at Emily Griffith Technical College, and she says the school has seen an increase in enrollment due to people being forced out of jobs and having to find new opportunities. Joseph says it's kind of hard to even find a new job. But John is keeping a positive outlook, saying the ultimate slogan is to keep your head up and keep moving. If you have a perspective you'd like to share, we'd love to hear it. You can join the conversation on the Denver 7 Facebook page, or if you'd rather, send us an email to 360@thedenverchannel.com. Changing careers is a growing trend across the United States. Former restaurant and hospitality workers are finding work in fields like tech and healthcare and construction. But some are going even further, not just switching fields, but carving out their own jobs. Alicia Nieves has this story.
No other industry has been halted in the past year the way the arts and entertainment industry has. Some cities have still not allowed any businesses in this space to reopen.
Over the past 15 plus years, I've built a career in the arts industry.
Anoop Arora had been working at the Metropolitan Opera House in New York for 8 years when last March
12th, around noon, we were all called to stage and told that the performance that night was canceled. At the moment, they said that the shutdown would be at least for 2 weeks.
But weeks turned into months, and Anoop started to get nervous about his future.
I actually, at that point, pursued working with a life coach.
It was then that he realized it was time to make a career switch.
What I realized is that I really love connecting with people. So I think it was back in August that I actually entered a training program to become a life coach.
At the start of this year, he began his practice and taking on clients, helping them set and reach new personal and professional goals.
The pandemic is hard on everybody. And life coaching has been a practice or career that has been growing in recent years.
Demand for life coaches and other similar counselors is expected to grow 10% over the next 8 years, much faster than the average for all occupations.
A lot of people want freedom, and this gives you that kind of freedom.
Mary Marcella lost both of her jobs last year, in a catering business and as a substitute teacher. After months of unemployment, she has now begun training to be a life coach as well.
People have been talking about the story of work or like what's work going to be in the future. It's not going to be what it was in the past. We have got to recreate our own future. We might as well be in control of that.
Marcella and Anoop Arora see life coaching as a way to start a new career, and once certified, a new business, one that gives them full career control. And that seems to be something many more people want as well, because IRS data shows business applications skyrocketed in 2020 and into 2021. In January, there were 58,000 new business applications filed. That's up 45% from December, likely by people who are choosing to create jobs for themselves after months of frustration in looking for one. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Thank you for watching the Rebound Colorado. You can find more of our Rebound stories by hitting your back button and then navigating to the Rebound section of the homepage, or head to thedenverchannel.com. And we'll be back with more news at 8 o'clock. But up next, it's Newsfeed.